Hello and welcome back to the Only Swans Podcast, coming to you just 2 days before the start of the new season. It's nearly time to do it all over again.
Indeed. I mean, by the time they watch it, it'll be probably one.
Probably one day, yeah, we hope. We hope one day before the new season when you're watching this. But as Gary Weaves says, nearly time for cities and towns to start dreaming again. You know, that's the thing you're seeing all over TikTok at the moment. But, well, for championship clubs it is. Obviously, for sort of smaller clubs in League 1 and 2.
They already started.
Yeah, they've already started. There's one in particular who've already played at home once. Yeah. Port Vale on a Thursday night. That's
crazy.
Isn't it? Don't get much worse than that. But for the proper leagues, for the Championship and next week the Premier League, it's nearly time to go again. And don't know about you, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm always going to be excited for opening day, I think, to be honest. It's like football's been gone for so long, so it's just nice to be back.
It is nice to be back. And last weekend I watched 5 matches, all of them in either League 1 or the Scottish Premiership. And it was a tough watch.
Yeah, you were starved, clearly.
Yeah, so it's going to be nice to have the good quality football back again. Not that there aren't some good sides at that level, but it wasn't the Championship. But nice to see our own team as well. What have you made of pre-season so far? Obviously, don't want to read too much into it, but
well, it hasn't results-wise. It hasn't been fantastic, has it? But I always think of pre-season as minutes, getting people on the pitch. You know. And people might look at it differently. People might look into the style of play and stuff. You know, we've seen it a lot on Twitter. But I just think at the end of the day, this is minutes. Those players won't be playing 100% in pre-season. We obviously have a few injuries as well. I think, maybe we're looking into it a bit too much.
I think so. I think everyone always looks a bit too much into pre-season. Yeah. And if it goes well, you're winning the league. And if it goes badly, you're going down. Chances are neither will happen. But I just think performances are always a lot more important in pre-season than results. And to me, the Lorient one was bad in the first half, don't get me wrong. Second half, we much improved. But against Exeter, which was obviously 2 weeks ago now, but we haven't recorded since that, it wasn't the most enjoyable game of football I've ever watched. But I don't think we played that badly. We lost, but we had the ball in the net 3 times, 2 of which should have stood 100%. And I think we played all right, and I really don't understand the narrative that's already building about style of play and things like that, because it's not what I'm seeing.
It's just people who already have an agenda, I think, to be honest. The season we sacked 3 managers in the Premier League, we went unbeaten in pre-season.
I don't want to give the whole style of play thing too much oxygen, to be honest, because I think it is just a sort of loud minority as much as anything.
100%.
But obviously, we've done pre-season now. Attention turns to the real stuff and to Middlesbrough on Saturday. So what do you make of them as a side?
I think Middlesbrough are a good side. They have a lot of good players, and we do always struggle at the Riverside, don't we?
This is going to be my 3rd visit to Riverside. I'm going up, well, probably today when you're watching this, but tomorrow night for me. And I've seen us lose both times. So the game where Congreve was hooked after half an hour with his whole family there, which was brutal. And another time when we lost 2-0, I think, in December.
I saw a 0-0 draw there.
Yeah, it's never been a ground we've had too much success at, but I think they are a bit of a weird team at the moment. It doesn't seem a very happy camp. They obviously changed manager over the summer. Michael Carrick out, Rob Edwards in. I don't know what you think of Rob Edwards as a manager. I really like him. I've sat here and said I wanted him before.
You've said that one too many times on this podcast.
I think we've done my Rob Edwards takes to death.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've read into from pre-season and stuff, they're scoring a lot of goals, which is obviously what they should be doing with Tommy Conway and Morgan Whittaker, but they look poor defensively.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, the way I see it, I think there's going to be a lot of square pegs in round holes in that Middlesbrough team. They've been playing Sammy Silvera, left wing back, all pre-season. First of all, he's not a left wing back. Secondly, they got rid of him to Blackpool on loan last season. Of course, players can come back from loan moves, but you wouldn't look at him and say he's the most obvious fit. Haven't really got a recognised striker. I know they've got Conway, but I see him more as someone who plays behind a striker, like he did with Latte Lath. So I think if there's ever a good time to play Middlesbrough, and it's a tough place to go, there'll always be a good side, a lot of money, certainly. Yeah. It is now, where they look a little bit disorganised. And every team looks a bit disorganised on opening day, doesn't it?
100%. Because at the end of the day, the window's not closed, those teams are only half complete, really. I expect us to make another 3 signings minimum. So,
Yeah, and we'll get on to signings that we have made since we last spoke in a bit. But yeah, I think this is an opportunity to take advantage of a poor Middlesbrough side, really, and a side in transition as much as anything. For all that, though, there's still some really good attacking talent in that side.
Yeah, very good.
I think the likes of Whittaker, who hasn't performed for Middlesbrough, but if he's ever going to perform, it's going to be against us. Conway, Bergzorg, Azaz, I think might be out. You seem to think, but hasn't featured much in pre-season. There's some players now can really hurt us.
From what I've seen, Whittaker and Conway have been fantastic in pre-season. I think Whittaker's had 3 assists and Conway's had 4 goals or something like that. So, they're clearly in fire and form. And, I'd mentioned Dale Fry too. I think, he's got a goal in him from the back. And
he's a solid centre-back as well. They've signed Alfie Jones from Hull as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
And a right wing-back, Callum Britton, who's probably likely to feature. And again, as we said about them looking to make that transition to a 3 at the back or 5 at the back, depending on where it's your persuasion, really, and people use them interchangeably. But I think Britain is an obvious right wing back signing for them. Don't know about left wing back; it'll probably be Silvera, and that's I play key if he's up against Silvera, and
that's a very strange one.
Maybe Ronald. I don't know. We'll come on to him in the questions later on.
Yeah,
but. Obviously, we've done a fair bit of business over the summer so far, but things have gone a bit quiet recently. But we've now made the signing of Caelan Casey from West Ham. What do you make of that?
I think it's pretty much what we asked for last episode. I mean, we said, fill the squad now with, a few loan players who it might be their first loan, but, they need to get them a chance and just as backup options. I think it's a good move. We don't know much about him, let's face him.
No.
But, I don't hate it at all. I've seen people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff really question the move. But, we've had success in the past with Mark Gahey, and equally we've had failures with Rhys Williams.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You never know. You can't write him off, but equally you can't suggest he's going to be a superstar.
And it is that. You can always end up pulling a rabbit out of the hat with the first loan. Like Gray, he never played any senior football, I don't think, before coming here. And then you can equally end up with a Rhys Williams who came with real pedigree, played Champions League for Liverpool and 12 times in the Premier League, whatever it was. And he comes in, stinks it up, and is now playing for Morecambe, or was playing for Morecambe last season.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no real rhyme or reason to it. So I don't think read too much into a lack of senior football. As you say, I think he's come in to fill a void in terms of cover.
Yeah.
Would we have signed him if Ricardo Santos was fit? I don't think we would have, but circumstances necessitate that we have, and I'm more than happy. I think he might well get a chance at Borough on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's a chance.
It sounds like Cabango is sort of touch and go at the moment.
It's probably going to be a more fault on, isn't it, really?
If Cabango's fit, I think he plays, but I think there's also an argument for not risking him.
Because he hasn't played.
Because he hasn't played. Yeah. He hasn't played at all in pre-season, or only played behind closed doors, I think. Yeah. We played Kidderminster, wasn't it, behind closed doors? I think he featured in that and got injured out in Spain, I think. Which, I'm not sure I would take the risk on bringing him in straight away, because there's going to be tougher tests to come, like Sheffield United next week at home, where I don't see you don't throw the Middlesbrough game. Certainly not.
You'd much rather him be fit for that game, though.
It would be frustrating if we did throw the Middlesbrough game. I'm travelling 6 hours there to go and watch it, but I'd like to see us put our best team out. But equally, I think probably another week, maybe. Maybe give him time off the bench, but that's always a bit of a weird one with the centre back in it.
Yeah.
But if it is Casey, I'm excited to see what he can do. The other one, it seems like we've been linked to today, or very heavily linked to today, and talk of whether a deal's agreed, talk whether it's close, we're not quite sure on that, is Malik Yalkoui from Brighton. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He sounds pretty exciting.
Well, he's meant to be like their Baleba replacement, isn't he? Like, he looks like it'd be an insane coup, I think, to be honest. From what I've read, you can never truly take the word of someone on Twitter, but, I haven't watched much of him. He played Sturm Graz last season.
Yeah, Sturm Graz, yeah. Do you know what encourages me more than anything? Is he's a midfielder that Brighton have signed.
Yeah.
They don't tend to get that wrong. In terms of midfielders they've signed in recent years, you've got McAllister, Caicedo, Baleba, and Wepu before he had to retire, Bissouma.
Yeah. They don't mess very often.
No, there's some brilliant bits of recruitment in there.
Yeah.
Pascal Gross, if you're going further back, and quite how highly rated it sounds like this guy is. It's hard not to get pretty excited. One man of the match in Champions League last season, made 7 appearances, 7 starts.
Yeah.
In the Champions League. So if we can get him in,
I think we needed another midfielder anyway, but what do you think the situation is? Do you think Galbraith drops back to right back? Or do you think it's a case of when one of them's not playing, the other one plays? There's always one in rotation.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think there's a chance that we see some more of Galbraith at right back than was initially expected. It is a bit of a weird one. I mean, I'm not a massive believer that positions are quite as important as are made out. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think you've got to focus on more in terms of skill set than obvious position. If you look at what Galbraith was doing, he was a sort of unique profile playing at right back. If you look at his skill set, he's obviously more of a midfielder, I think.
Yeah.
But he can fill in at right back. The club were at pains to point out that he's a midfielder when he first arrived, but I wonder if we might see that road back on slightly.
I think it's really interesting, to be honest, because I don't know. To be fair, I have been saying that we do need another midfielder. I like Fulton, whatever, but Ben Lloyd's gone out on loan anyway. There's space for another midfielder.
There's Cottrell in there, but I think I'd quite like to send him out on loan.
On another loan,
if it was up to
because
me.
he did very well at Swindon last year. Send him a level above, see how he does.
And I think, Yalkui sounds like he could be the perfect fit, really. He's a number 6 as much as anything, which should give us a little bit more at the base of midfield in terms of ability to progress the ball. Because there is an argument that we're going long a little bit more, but perhaps that's because Burgess isn't as comfortable on the ball as Darlin.
Yeah.
And there isn't that obvious player dropping deep to come and collect it off him. So he's needing to go long a bit more, if you understand what I mean. And I think Yalkui could potentially be that player. I like Galbraith dropping deep as well from what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
He's so clean and tidy on the ball. But yeah, I think this would be a really exciting one. The next Kante I've seen him referred to as, which is
That's an insane.
I think more in terms of build and playing style than anything else, but it's still pretty exciting.
So over the last 2 weeks, we've clearly been in the market for a striker. Since the last time we've filmed, we've allegedly put in multiple bids for multiple different players. What do you think of those situations?
Now, the 2 players that it seems are most closely linked are Richard Kone and Yusuf Arabi.
Yeah.
I'm more keen on Kone than Arabi.
Yeah.
But it appears today that Sheehan has very much put the brakes on the idea of Kone coming in. Now, it's a bit of a messy one, really, with Kone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a strange saga. Question marks over how well his agent has handled things. Seemingly very busy the past couple of weeks, his agent, certainly. But I think he's a brilliant, brilliant player.
Yeah.
The £5 million price tag, I can understand why people have reservations about, and it is a lot for a player with a year left on his contract.
But it's because they don't need to sell. They've got plenty of money. They'd rather take the risk and him go up or try to get more money.
They kind of do need to sell a little bit rather than losing for free.
True, but
I mean, they'd get compensation if they lost him for free next summer, but
yeah, it won't be very much.
It won't be very much.
They can sit there and negotiate for as long as they want.
Yeah,
honest, can't they? That's the thing.
And I think what might end up happening is he doesn't end up coming here.
Goes to Leicester,
but it happens quite late in the window.
Yeah, like deadline day potentially.
Would be my
sort
guess.
Of stuff. Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the Arabi suggestion, to be honest. He did not catch my eye at all. I spent a bit of time watching highlights of him yesterday.
Yeah.
Spent a bit of time looking into his stats and things like that. Now, clubs who are linked with him, we're talking Leeds, Fulham. There's obviously something there.
Yeah.
I was not seeing what that was, I'll be honest. I saw a player very similar to Vipotnik.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say I don't know, he might be better than Vipotnik, he might be worse than Vipotnik. That's not to say I don't think Vipotnik's up to much.
Yeah.
I question why we're looking at 2 players
Same
with
profile.
Same profile.
Yeah. Well, the description I saw yesterday of him was pretty much exactly like Vipotnik. Aggressive, might struggle because he's not that fast, so he might struggle with the speed of the championship. It sounded like Vipotnik 2.0. It's an interesting one.
I think if we are going to go out and sign a striker this summer, which it clearly seems like we are going to, they need to be a different profile to what we've already got.
They need to be able to move pretty much. That's
That's the brutal way of putting
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was no Bianchini lover. I don't think he's up to it. But at least with him, you've got something different, didn't you?
we need an athletic striker, somebody who can, turn his man and tuck the ball in. We don't have that at the moment, and we don't have somebody who's in the right position at the right time every time.
And that's what Kone is for me. He
Yeah.
looks like the complete centre forward, and I really hope there is something in it. I know Sheehan has distanced it today, but I just hope we're trying to keep something under wraps or whatever. Try and go about it quietly.
Well, when he came down to the Swan Com when we played them in the Carabao Cup, he looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
He looked fantastic, and he's got an awesome story. I'm not gonna lie, he's the type of player I would like to see at this club.
Yeah.
And I think he would succeed too.
Good for the documentary.
Yeah.
So as we talk today, this
Good
talk
segue.
that documentary is in the works. That wasn't even meant to be a segue, but still
pretty impressive.
Still pretty good. Yeah, talk of the documentaries in the works, a sort of fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Because I think if there's one thing the world needs, it's more fly on the wall documentaries of football clubs.
Football clubs, yeah.
I think we've done that to death, but you would always be interested when it's one about your own club, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? I hate Wrexham and Birmingham, and I hate this new style of football documentary.
The Birmingham one.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
It does not paint Brady in a good
No,
light
not at all. But I don't think he cares, to be honest. But regardless, you'd obviously watch it and you'd obviously love it.
Yeah.
To be fair, with your own club, I'm always quick to point out the commodification of football and the way
not
the
this
game's
again.
going. We're not going on to it this time because it's too long. And
Our state of football conversation
yeah.
at the end of last week was quite.
And I'm
something.
not in my football media mood, to truly talk about that. But I think it's great. We were talking about how Wrexham can pretty much free spend because they make so much money from the documentary. Even if we were able to do half of what they do, it's pretty impressive.
I suppose it doesn't come directly from revenue of the documentary, does it? And it kind of
No, but it all trickles down from the documentary.
and people who became interested in Wrexham,
Yeah, exactly.
because of the documentary.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I watched their collaboration with United where they sent over some Patagonian fans to Wrexham. Don't know if you saw that.
As in United Airlines.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
because
so
they made not Man United because they made a kit, didn't they?
Yeah, they're sponsored
and
by
it was
them,
awesome, to be honest. As much as I hate Wrexham, it was really cool.
Side point,
so,
how much of a sort of rivalry do you think that's going to be this season?
I don't think it's a rivalry. I just actually don't like them very much, to be honest. Do you know what? Obviously both clubs are going to try 4-6. It's a Welsh derby, the Championship are going to try 4-6.
Sky is certainly going to try.
Yeah, Sky are absolutely going to. And now there's the link with Snoop Dogg and Ryan Reynolds and all that. It's perfect. But I don't think it's that much of a rivalry. Will our fans really care that much? Will they really care that much? I think they'll care about the match, but it's not going to be like a Cardiff, and I wouldn't even say it's going to be a Bristol.
I would say it's going to be.
Maybe it's level on Bristol, but I don't think it'll be any worse than Bristol.
I just find them a bit annoying.
Yeah. I just don't like the way they are.
Just
It's not
a
even
bit
because
annoying.
It's not even because they're
it's
in the same country.
It's the sort of arrogance that I find annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly thinking they're,
like when they signed Lewis O'Brien.
Yeah, that
wow.
is a good sign-in, but Connor Cody and Kiefer Moore.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
It's a bunch of granddads.
Yeah,
from
well,
the
it's
pitch
dad's
now, man.
army, as I said on Twitter. But in terms of talking about sort of other sides in the league, we done our championship predictions, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we won't do the whole league, because if you want that, go to other podcasts. There's plenty that will do 1-24 predictions. But we're just going to do promoted, relegated, and where we think we will finish. So who have you got to go down first, Gone?
See, I did have Hull, but I think
I've still got Hull.
I'm not sure about that. And same with Charlton. I think they've made great signings. I think it's a really awkward one to predict this year, isn't it?
There is one obvious one.
Who?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah,
I want Sheffield Wednesday to stay up in spite of their own.
I think it'll be Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton. I think there'll be some rogue one.
So who do you think the rogue one would be? Stick your neck on the line.
Nah, do you know what? I'm not sure whether it'll be Hull.
I got Sheffield Wednesday, Hull and Oxford.
Yeah, Oxford's a very good show, I think.
I think Oxford could struggle this season. Their underlying numbers in the back half of last season were concerning, basically showing them to be the second worst team in the league after either Plymouth or Cardiff for the back half of last season.
I think equally Portsmouth could also go down, to be honest.
I'm not mad keen on Portsmouth. I've seen a lot of people putting them in like the top
obviously they've
half
got a
and stuff like that.
fantastic manager, but
Fantastic managers get poached.
they've signed Bianchini.
Fantastic managers get poached as well. If I was a sporting director, I'd be looking at John Mousinho. I've written plenty about John Mousinho for the page before, like in terms of wanting us to poach him. Yeah, I'm really not sure about Portsmouth, to be honest. I don't think they'll go down. Yeah, but I'm nowhere near as keen on them as other people are. I don't think Stoke are going to be very good.
No, I think they'll genuinely be about 7 teams in there.
I don't think Blackburn are going to be very good. I'm really not confident in Preston being very good. Top end of the league, I think, is a little bit easier to predict. I think automatically, I think there's 2 really obvious candidates to go up.
I think Southampton and Ipswich are pretty obvious, Yeah,
I think.
And then, do you know what? I think it could be absolutely anyone. There's so much like cockiness in the Championship this season with Birmingham back up. Plenty of teams making good signings, but I think it could be absolutely anyone in that. And I don't know if it'll be Birmingham.
I think it'll be Birmingham.
I don't know.
I think it will, because I think the feel-good factor around Birmingham right now and just winning is infectious. We've seen that with Wrexham, seen it with other sides who've flown up the divisions. I mean, us 20 years ago, winning it every week is infectious.
And they have got an unreal squad. I mean, Demar,
and I thought they might.
Kyogo.
I thought they might rest on their laurels a little bit this season, but they've pushed on to the next level. Osai Samuel, people like that, Kyogo, as you said, and just making unreal signings. And I think, Birmingham for me.
I think it'll be a pretty tight league this year, but I think it's one of them where I think there's probably about, again, as we said, there's 7 teams who I reckon could go down at least, but there's probably 5 who could get promoted, 6 who could get promoted.
Where do you think we'll finish? And what are your realistic aims and expectations for the season?
I'm sick of saying the same place every year, but I think we'll finish 11th.
I've said the same thing 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
I'm right last year.
Yeah, I do think we'll finish 11th. That could definitely change depending on who we bring in the next few weeks. I think we could potentially, sneak into that sort of 8th to 6th. That's where we were sort of discussing originally, like a few months back. But I'm just not too sure. The league's very strong. I think our squad has improved massively, to be honest, from last season. It's definitely gone a lot better, but I think it's still got a long way to go. And I think it's one of them where, maybe a lot of fans have been sort of, like fooled by their own mind, thinking it's going to be like a 1-season job. We're going to be straight up there. But I do think this is a project, and I do think they know it's going to be a project, and it's going to be, potentially 3-4 seasons till we have a complete, a squad that can truly challenge.
Yeah. And it's tough in modern football to talk about sort of multi-season projects.
Yeah, and patience. That's the thing. There's no patience now.
And when the average lifespan of a manager is so short and whatever, like Norwich talked of a long-term project last year, and it's a transitional season, and then they sack the manager at the end of the season. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I think it's hard in modern football to build projects like that, because if they're really good, they're poached. If they're really bad, they're sacked.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, if there's something in the middle, then you're probably not going to be going up, if you know what I mean. But I think you have to plan for these long-term projects.
100%.
And believe that it is going to happen, even if it is very rare where it is actually the case. I mean, example in recent years, I can only really think of Eddie Howe, where you look at a manager who's taken a team up the leagues, and Parkinson as well now at Wrexham. But obviously that isn't the situation we're in. There's plenty of managers who've taken a team up, like McKenna with Ipswich.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of him then. But, I think you've got to look at it as a long-term project, but there will be changes along the way. And 100%. The players who we've brought in this summer might not be the same players who get us there in the end.
Yeah.
But, I'm with you. I've got us to finish in 11th place. I think there's a clutch of teams, though, who have really impressed me this summer, and we are in that clutch.
Yeah.
And it's us, Norwich, Derby, Millwall, all of whom I think have recruited really well, look quite stable.
Yeah.
In terms of Norwich, obviously brought in Liam Manning, which is a new manager, unlike the rest. Obviously, Derby only had John Eustace the back end last season. We only had Sheehan at the back end last season, probably came in at similar times. And Alex Neil was around for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But there's going to be 10 new faces in the dugout on opening day, which is crazy.
Yeah. Including the team we face.
Exactly, including the team we face, as you say. Manning is one of those new faces, but I think he comes with a level of experience in the division already.
And he's from Norwich. So.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much upheaval. But if we can finish in amongst that clutch of teams just outside the playoffs, I'll be happy.
It'll be a really good season, I think, to be honest. Like I said, I'm happy to be patient and sit on this, and I think the owners are too, because they know that, they're clearly trying to get stuff going with the documentary we've discussed. They're trying to sign a lot of young talent from abroad. They're giving Noosa a 5-year contract.
Swedish market, we've done a lot around them by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Even Jalkui signed for Brighton from Gothenburg.
Yeah.
Which is clearly we've got someone out there looking at these players, or someone's got. I did see a tweet yesterday which says someone's downloaded the Allsvenskan expansion pack on Football Manager, and it does feel that way. But I think in terms of aims for the season, where would you place in terms of what sort of expectations would you place on the team?
I'd just like us to be sort of, in and around where we've predicted for the season. I wouldn't like, the last few years we've sort of had drop-offs of periods. We've fallen to like 16th, 17th. I'd just like us to be in and around that playoff position for the year. Even if it's just 6 points off for the season, as long as it's always in sight and there's always a chance that we can be in it, then I'd be pretty satisfied.
Yeah, I just want to be playing for something in February.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially. And that playing for something, I don't mean battling relegation.
Because
we were playing for something in February last year. Certainly.
Playing for playoffs at a minimum,
just not looking at it at the end of January going, there's no point getting anyone in. Season's over. We go again next year. But
wrap it up.
No, I want it to be... We're still playing for something. And if that ends with us finishing 10th or 11th, but we've had a right good stab at it, and we look at it and go, as we talked about with the project, there's something to build on for next year.
Yeah. Brilliant. I just really want the feel-good factor at the club to just continue, and that obviously now is success on the pitch.
Yeah. I think the feel-good factor will continue. I can't really see why it won't almost. We've got a good squad. They've handed a 3-year deal to a manager who I know not everyone is convinced by, and there is a record of caretakers not succeeding in the permanent job, but she's 20 games now Sheehan's been in charge for. Yeah. There's enough evidence to suggest this won't go wrong.
Yeah.
I hope.
And it's your mate.
Don't start this again. It was also your charity match as well, which is if that's what
Didn't call me as mate.
If that's what you're referring to.
Okay, we'll move on to the audience questions now. The first is from Super Swans 2025 on Instagram, who has asked, is Ronaldo a scapegoat?
Is he a scapegoat or a space goat, which is what I've written on
some very notes. Rogue type.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bad typo. Yeah. No, I don't think so, because I don't really understand how you can have a scapegoat when things are seemingly going fine. If we were fighting down the bottom of the table and everyone was looking for one person to hammer, then you can have a scapegoat. But at the moment, I think everything's going all right.
Yeah.
So for me, he's just amongst the weaker starters in the team. Now, I know in terms of stats, he is very good on stats, but I think in terms of performance, with the eye test, I'm not so sure, and I think we should be looking to bring in an upgrade in that area of the pitch.
Yeah.
Somebody of starting calibre on the right wing, and just competition, because at the moment, there's no one else who's really an obvious...
Yeah, no, there isn't, unless you're playing like Sam Barker there.
Yeah, everyone in the league
there a bit.
Wants to be 2 deep in every position, and at the moment we're only 1 deep on the right wing. And when Ronald is tired or having an off day, you want another option. I don't think... there's some people who make out he's absolutely terrible all the time.
Which isn't true.
I don't think that's the case. I just think he's way too inconsistent. The ability is there. It's just frustrating. Yeah. Because you don't see it very often.
I think this question's very relevant to you because obviously, you've been in debates about Ronaldo the last few days especially. And I remember your tweet before we drew with Cardiff this season where you said if Ronaldo's on form, he's going to absolutely rip Perry NG to shreds. Now, obviously, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
But, that just shows it's not that he's your like particular player you don't like. You don't have an agenda against him or something.
I think he's just
want another.
frustrates me as much as
Yeah.
anything.
You just want to see another option as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being ambitious and wanting your team to bring in competition for a player who, has been average at best, to be honest.
I think it's because he started so well.
Yeah, it is.
And showed us that ability against Cardiff, against Sunderland. First home game of last season against Preston, he was fantastic.
And it is the Brazilian flag, let's face it. It
I know
is
what
the
you mean,
fact we have a Brazilian player, which is,
with one name.
Yeah, which one name that is very close to CR7.
Yeah, and the celebration is annoying.
Yeah.
I will say that. The celebration.
He's got a lot of...
I'll never forget that goal against Huddersfield.
He's got a lot of unreal gimmicks that'll just make fans love him. So, of course, everyone wants him to succeed. He's not a scapegoat.
And we want him to succeed because he plays for our football club.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just don't think he is or should be a 46-game player in the Championship, which is what he probably will be. But we mentioned it then, I still can't believe the celebration against Huddersfield. Tymon did all the work, brought that ball down, one of the best touches I've ever seen. He smashes it into an empty net and does the sue.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, we got 30k likes on the tweet for the thing, and ever since, all the things have been like, who's that number 35?
It was the most shameless thing I've ever seen.
Poor bloke, man.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe he might be your answer to this, but what player do you think will surprise us most with performances this season?
I do hope that it's Keelan Casey, but I'm going to go for Vipotnik.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think, you look at the situation right now where, we are lacking a striker, let's face it. We won't have one by opening day, so we will,
That's if he's fit.
That's if he's fit, but he is the likely man throughout the season at this current moment in time to lead the line. And to be honest, he looks a bit fitter from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And he did manage to, what did he get last season? 8?
7.
And, he was really, he struggled to adjust quite a bit at the start. And by the end, he looked a bit better. He was getting shots off. He was in much better positions. I think...
There's a lot of talk he's slimmed down this pre-season, isn't there?
Yeah, he looks like he has. I think there's a chance that he could really come good. I think they've really looked into sort of the players' profiles and what they need to, what they need to be doing behind the scenes, because, bulked up a little bit, and he's slimmed down. I think it's very. That's another man who I think could surprise us a lot this year.
When I first read this question, if I'd taken it, he was who I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think he could have a really good second season, year to adapt. I mean, let's not forget, he came here at 22?
Yeah.
Moving halfway across the world. That's like a massive lifestyle change. Before we even get into the change in terms of football, because of pace, style of play, whatever. He's obviously very talented. I think towards the end of last season, really showed us what he can do.
Yeah.
Kind of become a bit of a forgotten man almost.
Yeah.
Because
we've signed
Yanusa, and because he's barely featured in pre-season.
Yeah, because he's been injured.
He is almost kind of the forgotten man, and
yeah,
and I think Eon would be my answer to this.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think he's one of them that I think he'll come off the bench and then earn his place, and then he'll play for a good while, hopefully, because all he needed was that confidence, and one goal off the bench might be it to start off a really good season.
Because he scored 2 in the end last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think he is. I think he could, and we need him to have a good season.
Yeah, we do.
In terms of goal scoring, that is my biggest worry about the team at the moment. Is where the goals.
And
he
does also offer us sort of the option to change shape, because he can play in the middle too, which is pretty helpful.
Yeah, I think at the moment, in terms of biggest worries of the team, it is the lack of goals, and especially coming from wide areas.
Yeah.
I mean, Eom and Ronald were probably our 2 starting wingers last season. If everyone was fit, he scored 4 goals between them.
Yeah,
that is worrying.
100%.
You back them both, hopefully, to improve on that figure this season, and Inusa to hopefully step up and contribute a few as well.
Yeah, I agree. Right, your next question is from John O'Dew on Twitter. If you could sign any player from another championship team with money being no object, who would you choose?
Oh, it's a tough one. I would go, if we're talking parachute teams, I'll do a parachute one and a non-parachute one. So parachute teams, there's a few that came to mind when I read this one. El Canouse at Leicester, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah.
He will be playing in the Premier League next season, one way or another. He might even be going to Tottenham now because of Maddison's ACL. But there's two that stand out for me because I think a winger would be one of my biggest priorities. And the ability to add Jack Clark or Philogene to this team would be my choice. In terms of the non-parachute, we're clearly in the market for a striker, and my favourite striker in the Championship at the moment is Mihailo Ivanovic, and I think he's going to win the Golden Boot this season. And if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would put money on that because I think he's not that good, not that high odds to win. But this is not a betting podcast, so we won't do those
No, definitely don't discuss that.
No.
Well, we chatted about this earlier, and I said I'd pick Abdul Fatawu at Leicester.
Yeah.
I think he's superb, to be honest. He's, you've touched on us needing a winger there, and you've listed two other fantastic wingers. I think it's kind of worrying, to be honest, to think about some of the talent on the wings.
It was when I was like doing a bit of the research for this one, I was just thinking, oh my God, there's some ridiculous players in the Championship now.
You look at those players, they should never be in the Championship, really. Like, a lot
Ipswich
of them
are too deep for every position, pretty much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe the depth they have in terms of the depth and talent, in terms of, they let Burgess walk out the door because they have Wolfenden, Greaves. There's someone I'm forgetting. Another centre-back. Can't think who off the top of my head. But it is just crazy, the depth these clubs are coming down with. Leicester as well, kind of being forgotten about almost, despite the fact they're coming down with a core of the team that won the league.
Southampton got Will Still as their gaffer, and a pretty decent squad. Like, I think these teams.
The quality in the Championship this season is ridiculous, and that question I put in really to sort of highlight that almost.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think. But even the non-parachute teams, you look at teams like us. I mean, Derby have just brought in Bobby Clark on loan. We've been able to bring in some top-level players from League One, 100%. Galbraith. Norwich have brought in that Chris Gardner who's being chased by half of Europe. Yeah. Like, the calibre of players being brought in is scary.
100%.
Who are your realistic loan transfers in the squad for this season? So we're talking about players who are going out on loan from this one, and that's from First Real Madman on Twitter.
Well, we discussed Cottrell earlier. I think that's a pretty obvious one. I think, at the start of pre-season, I was sort of thinking maybe he'll be involved, but we've got, a really deep midfield now, especially, if we sign another midfielder. And I think he looked pretty good in League Two last season. I'd like to see him step up that level, try League One, have a crack at it, and get, consistent minutes.
I think for me, Congreve and Cottrell are the two who you would look at stepping up to League One, isn't it? I mean, whether we send Congreve out on loan, I'm not sure, but Cottrell, I definitely would. Yeah. Who would you send to League Two, ideally, of course? Obviously, there's got to be interest, but... Wilson?
Yeah. Wilson did the trial at Salford, didn't he? So, that's a bit of a...
I looked bright when he came on against Exeter, I thought. Yeah. Wilson and Lissa would be the two.
Yeah, Lissa, definitely.
If he can stay fit,
I'd love Lissa to get a loan, just because he's so highly rated. I'd just love to see what he'd be able to do.
I think he needs to be playing some senior football now. He's definitely better than under 21s. The other one I'd like to see, I don't know about you, Aimar Govea. Yeah. I worry about how little he featured for both the 21s and the first team last year, and think that if he has the opportunity, because he has had injury troubles himself, if he can stay fit and has the opportunity to go out and play against men at pretty much any level, I'd say we should. Because
he looked, he looked really bright when he played for us, to be honest. Like, I remember that QPR cross that almost turned into a goal. There were plenty of games where he came on the pitch, Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought he looked great. Obviously he was just sort of thrown in because we had no other option, but... he was really good.
It's kind of, again, another one who's kind of become a bit of a forgotten man, really, isn't he, at the moment? Because he barely featured last season for either the age group sides or the first team. Well, I think he made 2 squads for the first team and didn't make an appearance. I think a loan for him would do him the world of good. Just to get him... Sounds bad, like that experience of being kicked almost, isn't it? And, like, I think youth football is a bit more tame than...
Oh no, 100%.
men's football, and,
Yeah.
and even if it is the National League or the League of Ireland, as we've done with a number of young players, I think that would be a good shout for him. I've got one final one, and it comes from SCFC Davis on Twitter.
I can't believe you put this one in.
And I've only put it in for me to ask you. You didn't know I was doing this. Would you rather fight 100 chicken-sized versions of me or one T-Rex-sized version of me?
Probably 100 chicken-sized versions of you. I reckon, you know, like...
Take on the chickens, is it?
Yeah, it'd be like quite fun to kick you as well. Like it didn't get to do it in the charity match playing in goal. Like so it'd be a good op to kick you 100 times. You know.
Brilliant.
Yeah. That's the insight that everyone wants on the Only Swans podcast. So
more questions like that, please.
Yeah. So.
and on that note, I'll let you sign it off.
Yeah. As always, we appreciate you all for watching, and we'll see you all in a bit. Bye.